Hey, welcome back. So this is going to be my giant list of where you can find every slime in Slime Rancher 2 whenever you want it. Now, one little side note before we get started, the parts that I'm going to show you are basically where you can find the biggest concentrations of these slimes. You can probably find a few more like little isolated cases, but these are going to be the most easy places that you can find all these slimes whenever you want them. Okay, so we're going to do this alphabetically, and we're going to start with the angular slime. So the angular slime you can find in two areas. First of all, the started strand. So wherever there is going to be sand, that's going to be the coral crusted tide pools, and that's going to be a place where you can find angular slime. So first of all, up here in the big northern part, you actually have a huge area where you can find a few. There's also, of course, this cave that's hidden away behind a waterfall, if I'm not mistaken, that you actually need to open by plopping an angular plort into a slime statue door. And of course, over here at the bottom, you will actually also find some angle slimes. And a very easy other place that you can actually also find them in the Ember Valley is of course going to be this cave over here with the rock Gordo, and this most southern part where you can find a lot of sand, coral crusted tide pools. Angular slimes just love it. Next up, alphabetically, we have the Batty slimes. Now, the Batty slimes can only be found in the Ember Valley at this point. So, first of all, you can find them north of the Crystal Gordo, right over here. You can find them right next to the geyser, but also pretty high up. At the bottom, you actually have this huge cave where you can find some boom crystal and Batty slimes. You can also find the Batty Gordo in here. And of course, in this lava zone right over here, right in front of the boom Gordo, you can sometimes also find some Batty slimes. Next up, we have the boom slime. So you can find these over here in the same cave as the Batty Gordo and in front of the boom Gordo, which makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Now, you can actually also find feral boom slimes over here, but honestly, just come over here and you're going to find a lot of boom slimes. Now, cotton slimes, of course, you're going to find them in rainbow fields all over the place. They are pretty much everywhere. Wherever you look, you're going to find a lot of them. If you actually want to be a little bit more difficult and find them, for example, in Starred Strand, these are the spaces that you can actually find them. So right as you exit the teleporter, over here where you're surrounded with all the waterfalls, over here where you can find some hunter slimes, and of course next to the Flutter Gordo in the south. Crystal slimes you can actually only find in the Ember Valley at this point. So of course you're going to find them over here next to the geyser right in front of the Crystal Gordo if you want. Also in this cave where you can find a Batty Gordo, and in front of the boom Gordo you're going to be able to find also a lot of crystal slimes. Next up, we have fire slimes, and for this we need to be a little bit more specific. So you can only find these in pools of lava, and you can find two huge pools of lava right in front of the boom Gordo over here in Ember Valley. Over here, right across the boom Gordo, you're of course also going to find a few lava slimes in two pools of lava. Then, of course, you're going to find a few in front of the Batty Gordo, so in this cave over here. But the easiest place, of course, is going to be this lava stream over here. So there is going to be this huge waterfall made of lava, so lava fall, I don't know. And right in front of that, there's going to be a massive spawn spot for fire slimes. So you can always find around like 5, 6, 7 fire slimes just at the end of that lava fall. Next up, let's talk about Flutter slimes, which are still pretty rare in my opinion. So first of all, you can only find them in Started Strand, and we're going to only find them in the most southern part. So over here next to the Flutter Gordo, next to the, Brood Flutter slime, I don't know, let's just go with that. We're going to find a lot of Flutter slimes. You can also find them right next to the Ringtail Gordo if you want. And of course, if you go past the Ringtail Gordo to this little part over here, this little section above the Angular Gordo, you're also going to find a few Flutter slimes. If you're actually wondering where you can find some gold and lucky slimes, you can find them everywhere. It's pure chance, but always just be sure to pay attention to those sound effects whenever they come around. Lucky slime is going to make more of a tingling metallic sound, and of course the lucky slime is going to have like this sparkling song whenever you hear them. So whenever you see a lucky slime, just try to shoot it with whatever type of material you have, preferably some food, for example. Just shoot them and you are going to get some golden plorts. The lucky slimes, you just feed them some meat, and of course you're going to get a few new bucks in return. Honey slimes you can only find right now in the Started Strand. So of course over here in this central area, so right in front of the split tree, but on the ground floor if you know what I mean, where you're going to find a lot of these honey slimes. But you can actually also find them right over here next to the Flutter Gordo, next to the Ringtail Gordo, and above the Angular Gordo right over here. Now, hunter slimes are really easy in my opinion in Slime Rancher 2. In Slime Rancher 1, they were really difficult. I was often just feeding feral hunter slimes just some food so I can get some plorts and just, make some largos that way. But in Slime Rancher 2, it's a lot more easy. So over here, you actually have this mushroom forest in Started Strand. So you can find a few over here. Well, actually not a few, really quite a lot of them. You can actually find also a few of them right next to the Flutter slime and the Flutter Gordo, of course. But right over here, we actually have this coral crusted tide pools area. And at the end of it, there's this huge pool of water. And just go there and you're going to find a lot of hunter slimes. It's really kind of surreal at this point. Okay, so phosphor slimes are going to show up pretty much everywhere in whatever zone you want, but they will only show up during the night. So between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. you are going to find a lot of phosphor slimes wherever. Now, of course, these are only one of the 4 slimes that will actually show up in Rainbow Fields. So if you want to get a lot of them, not really, turned into largos, Rainbow Fields is going to be easiest choice, of course, but you can pretty much find them everywhere. And then, of course, we have pink slimes. You can find them everywhere. Wherever you go, you can't really escape them. You're going to find them everywhere. Next up, we have puddle slimes. Now, technically, you can actually find them in 2 zones, Starlight Strand and Ember Valley, but Starlight Strand has the biggest concentrations of them all. So in the most southern part over here, we actually have a lot of them, constantly like 8 or something in these pools of water next to the Flutter Gordo. You actually also have a few that just spawn like alongside these pads, these mountainous pads that will actually lead to this area above the Angler Gordo and the Ringtail Gordo. So just, kind of come over here and you're going to find a few puddle slimes, but there are also really quite a bit above these caves. So if you actually come to the same level as the split tree, so climb up to this highest point over here, you can actually hover from this point all the way over here, and here you're going to find a waterfall. Now, this waterfall actually has like the spot that it begins and the spot that it ends, and at both spots you're going to find a lot of puddle slimes really easily. Now in Ember Valley, of course, we're going to find a few puddle slimes as well, but honestly not as many. So over here in the most highest part of this mountainous zone above the Crystal Gordo, like the highest spot, just look for the palm trees and you're going to find them. There is going to be this pool of water, and over there you can find a few slimes, including some puddle slimes. But my favorite spot for the puddle slimes in Ember Valley is going to be, of course, these puddle slimes over here in the south. So you can just go through these coral crested tide pools area over here, and you're going to find a pool of water really high up. You can only reach it by going through a cave, and there are going to be like a lot of puddle slimes in this huge pool of water. Typically, you actually also have 3 active resource points for primordial oil in that same pool as those puddle slimes are. So definitely just go there and you're going to be really happy really quickly. Now, ringtail slimes are, in my opinion, the next new rare slime. Of course, not counting the lucky or the gold slime, but these are pretty rare in my opinion. They don't spawn as often. Now, first of all, they are going to be a lot harder to catch for you because you can only catch them during the night. During the day, you're going to see these statues, and these statues are basically ringtail slimes that have become a statue. But after that, after 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. during the night, you're going to actually be able to find these ringtail slimes alive, and then you can actually catch them. Now, the best locations that you can find them right now is Starlight Strand and Ember Valley. In the Ember Valley, you can find them in this big central area over here, where you actually have the choice to go to the lava zone or to the mountainous zone if you want. So over here, and you can also find them over here in these tropical areas in the lava zone as well. But honestly, they are still pretty rare over here. Now, in the Starlight Strand, you can basically find ringtail slimes in the same areas as the Flutter slimes. So that's going to be in the most southern part, right next to the Flutter Gordo. And of course, next to the Ringtail Gordo is also a really good choice to just go look for some ringtail slimes. Next up, we have rock slimes. Now, rock slimes are less in abundance, in my opinion, in Slime Rancher 2, but still you can find them pretty easily. So whenever you actually leave the teleporter from Starlight Strand, you can actually just, use that door behind you or just hover around this wall, and you're going to come in the coral crusted tide pools. There are going to be a lot of rock slimes over here in this pool of water, messing around with the angler slimes. And if you just follow the teleporter south, over here you're going to find this huge area with a lot of rock slimes and also some heartbeats if you want them, right before you actually enter the area with the hunter slimes or go towards the honey slime cotton area over here. In the Ember Valley, of course, you're going to find them as well, but honestly not as much as in Starlight Strand. So, of course, right over here next to the Rock Gordo, you're going to be able to find a few. And over here, right in front of the Crystal Gordo, next to that huge geyser that I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video, you're also going to be able to find a few rock slimes. And last but not least, we're going to be talking about Tabby slimes. Now, Tabby slimes can be found in the Rainbow Fields pretty easily. So whenever you actually go out of your ranch, you just pass this refinery link all the way up to the, teleporter to the Ember Valley. You're going to find a lot of Tabby slimes here really easily. But if you want to actually make it a little bit more difficult and go look for them in the Ember Valley, you can actually find them in these ruins over here that are a little bit offshore. You can find them in these ruins over here. You can find them in this tropical area and of course in this big central area. But honestly, Rainbow Fields is going to be a lot easier. And those were all the locations for the slimes in Slime Rancher 2 right now. Next up, you should probably check out this video out right here, but don't click on just yet. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on everything Slime Rancher 2 related. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.